Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40k Universe. I am your host, Krish1, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today, we answer the requests of viewers like you. We are going to talk about the Space Marine Legion of the Legion of the Damned. So let's get into 40 Facts About the Legion of the Damned. The Legion of the Damned are a mysterious band of space marines who appear unannounced when all hope seems lost, striding forth from hidden netherworlds to bring retribution to the Imperium's foes. The Legion is an army of vengeance and of flame, a brotherhood of warriors who appear at first glance to be space marines, but quickly prove to be more lethal than even those most formidable of transhuman warriors. These warriors are variously said to dwell in the space between this world and the realm of the warp, in the hopes and dreams of desperate men, and in pockets of reality eternally lit by the fires of hatred. In truth, the Astartes that make up the self-proclaimed Legion of the Damned are remnants of the Lost Loyalist Firehawks chapter. The Legion's Space Marines are afflicted by a strange warp contagion that destroys their sanity. As it progresses, their bodies decay physically at the cellular level, but they grow in supernatural strength and the ability to use the power of the Immaterium against the Emperor's foes. Each Astartes of the Legion is rapidly approaching the moment when he will finally succumb to the contagion. Combat can initiate the final stages of the disease, in which the afflicted Space Marines reach a peak in physical power, but also enter a permanently berserker state that ends with their death. These silent warriors are Space Marine in appearance, their black armored adorned with images of bone and fire, yet they are not of any chapter recognized in the Imperium. The true origins and nature of the Legion of the Damned is shrouded in mystery and myth. Some rumors suggest that they were the survivors of the Lost Firehawks chapter, transmuted by the warp storm that claimed their vessel. Others imply that the Legion are an extension of the Emperor's will, time-lost survivors, or even the vengeful spirits of space marines slain in the Imperium's many wars. In the course of their investigations, several Inquisitors have tried to capture or intercept the Legion of the Damned, but all have failed. Events always conspire to prevent the Inquisition from getting close to their quarry, leaving them nothing more than frustrated witnesses to an event. Who or what guides the Legion of the Damned is an enigma to all. They appear only in time of great need, coalescing from the fires of a desperate battlefield to turn a disaster into a victory. Little is truly known about the Legion of the Damned, though a few truths have come to light as reports of their manifestations have been collected and compared. They attack to save some part of the Imperium from disaster, a fact that implies they have powers of prediction that even the most gifted of seers and prophets cannot rival. Whenever the Legion of the Damned appears on the field of battle, they do so without warning. Bursting out of clouds of flame, they stride forth from nothing. The Legion is always clad in ceramite of deepest black, despite their surroundings, whether they appear in a brightly lit haven of a planetary governor, or under the glare of a sun at its zenith. Their armor seems to consume natural light. The pale bones and death heads emblazed on their armor are lit by a supernatural fire, their armor flickering as if each legionnaire had been set alight with some combustible chemical. There have been several accounts of legionnaires becoming little more than pillars of flame at the height of an engagement. On such occasions, the individual will fight with terrible ferociousness before succumbing to the flame and disappearing from reality. There have been many accounts of legionnaires of the damned enduring firepower that would annihilate mortal men. Among them is the report from a Achaean battle zone, where a handful of Astartes of the Legion of the Damned were witnessed walking unharmed from the volcano cannon blast that claimed 4 predators and several squads of space marines. The bolters carried by the legionnaires discharge flaming projectiles that can pierce the strongest armor. Imperial scholars have concluded that the legionnaires are able to fire far more bolts from their weapon than the ammunition capacity of their clips would suggest. Indeed, no footage has ever been recorded of any kind of weapon reload, even in the most protected of engagements. They move with such speed in close combat that it leaves other Space Marines in disarray. The Legion fights in complete silence. The battlefield is struck with an eerie silence at the presence of these Space Marines. Once the tide of battle has been turned, and those in need of rescue have been freed from the threat that had closed around them, the Legionnaires vanish from sight. Some witnesses say they look away for a second, only to look back and find nothing there. Those monitoring devices that are able to capture evidence of the Legion's manifestation have machine spirits that are badly traumatized, and have to be coaxed back into life by a talented tech marine before they will yield any secrets at all. If an investigator wishes to obtain any kind of first-hand accounts, he must visit those who witnessed the incident within solar days, for the presence of these strange Space Marines erases itself from the mind, much as a dream or a nightmare. There are those in the complex strata of the Imperium that make it their business to study the Legion of the Damned. They hope to learn not only of the mystery that lies behind them, but to capture whatever peculiar abilities they wield and use them for the betterment of the Imperium. Evidence collected has given credit to the idea that the Legion has a strong mastery of the warp. Data collected from servo skulls captured the presence of an individual on a battlefield surrounded by a warp storm, only for another skull capturing the same individual across the other side of the galaxy shortly afterwards. In one similar case, the same individual was captured simultaneously, and he too was on two opposite sides of the galaxy. If this power could be harnessed properly, it would make for a grand prize that could change the fate of mankind on a galactic level, allowing the armies of the Imperium to multiply their military by any unimaginable factor. The Ordo Cronus, the part of the Inquisition that deals with temporal anomalies, is given the task to search for the Legion's secrets. There are members of that selective brotherhood who have spent their entire adult lives in pursuit of the first-hand sightings. Every time the operatives of the Ordo Cronus get close to their quarries, events conspire to keep them apart. Landslides, telekinetic bursts, sudden mass aneurysms, or even vehicular explosions force the curious and the mysterious apart, until the Legion has vanished once more. A few scholars of the Adeptus Astartes have suggested that the Legion of the Damned is a psychic backlash. Events such as the Isvan massacre or the death of a Primarch were so traumatic they left a permanent scar on the psyche of all the first founding Space Marine legions. A scar so deep it has permeated not only the chapter that came after them, but hundreds of successor chapters since. There are radicals amongst the Librarios who have a similar theory, though they believe the Legion of the Damned is a kind of consensual hallucination, and occasionally even manifestation, conjured by mankind as a whole. They believe that the subconscious power of hope is so strong that when combined with the nuisance psychic abilities that lurk within humanity's minds and a stimulus of immediate death, it can potentially be made reality. Central to this theory is the idea that though a single man may have but the tiniest shred of spiritual or mystical ability, the uncounted trillions of humans that populate the Imperium all contribute to a kind of psychic reservoir that can be tapped into. This theory is reinforced by observing that the aspects of fire and death that are associated with the Adeptus Astartes are made manifest upon the armor of those conjured warriors. If the theory is correct, their weapons are no more real than the belief in salvation. A darker premise held by the renegade Inquisitor Kisos before he was slain by Gregor Einsenhorn is that just as the dark gods of chaos have demonic servants made of the same soul stuff that sustains them, the theory goes that the Legion of the Damned were shards of the Emperor's will given form. The Inquisitor's writings share the idea that these dead angels could take a number of forms, just as the demons of the chaos powers range from diminutive to colossal, and that their greater forms have yet to be recorded. The renegade Inquisitor maintained there is plenty of evidence that almost every Legion appearance has happened in an area where the metaphysical barrier between real space and the warp is thin, suggesting a kernel of truth behind this claim that the Legion are creatures of the immaterial. The Legion of the Damned chapter badge is a large white skull on a field of black. And those were 40 facts about the Legion of the Damned. I hope you guys enjoyed. Now, of course, there's going to be a part 2 to this where I explain the Firehawk's origin more in depth. So please subscribe to the channel to get that. And of course, we put out new Warhammer 40k content every single day. So please subscribe. And if you already have, thank you for liking, sharing, and commenting down below. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.